Welcome back to my channel. So today we're just going to do a super speedy express crow tutorial. So I know it can be a little bit daunting taking your first arm balance. Crow is one of the first arm balances that I learned, and when it clicked that it wasn't so scary to balance on my hands, I took it from there and it just kind of escalated, and I looked into more and more and more. So we are just going to start today with some nice simple ways to show you to take flight into your first crow. So before you begin, if you have any injuries or any limitations, then please listen to your body. Don't do anything to force it, to push it. Please listen to your body and be kind to it. Secondly, if you do have a block or a brick, then that will work brilliantly. Equally, if you don't and you have some pillows or cushions, then they work absolutely fine too. I am going to show you today with a brick, but as I say, you can just sub for some pillows and some cushions. Also, please make sure that you're warm before attempting any kind of arm balance, especially if you're not used to it. There are plenty of flows on my channel to warm you up, really getting into your hips, into your shoulders, into your core. Everyone thinks that they need amazing upper body strength to be able to arm balance. You actually need strength throughout. A lot of it is done through the core. So there are some core drills and some core strength flows that you might find are really useful as well for arm balancing. So preparing for our first crow pose. So when we place our hands down on the mat, we place them about shoulder width apart, and we really want to make sure that we're gripping with the hands. So the hands are not flat down onto the mat when we arm balance. We want to make that little tent and really grip. So the fingertips and the palm of the hand are really gripping the floor in our pose. So the hands are about shoulder width apart. We're going to tuck the toes just to start with. We're going to come into almost like a forward bend with our hands in that little tent. So just taking that grip. And we're just going to place the knees into the armpits at the top of the triceps as much as we can. When we take our first flight, we start to tip the weight forwards, resting those knees on those triceps into the armpits. So just practice first of all, just lifting and just pressing forwards. This is the point where you might want to put some pillows or some cushions under your face. It does look like you're going to come down and face plant, but at this point you shouldn't. We're just practicing, just tipping gently forwards onto the toes and then back. Coming forwards onto the toes and then back again. Noticing how my hands are gripping onto the mat. So when you're comfortable and you're confident there, we can take it up a notch. So again, coming forwards and then maybe lifting one foot off the floor and then lifting the other foot off the floor. Keep looking down all the time. Lift one foot and lift the other foot. Again, really making sure there's a connection with the knees and the back of the triceps. When you first practice this pose, if you do a lot of drills and practices, you will notice that you get bruises down the backs of the arms. I suffered with those for a good few months. They can become quite painful, but they are completely normal, completely part of the process. So when we've done with the toe tapping, we try and take flight. Again, it might seem scary at first, so a really great way to start is by placing a block under the forehead, so you know that it'll catch you if you're going to fall or if you feel like you might fall. So placing the block underneath where the forehead will be, so just finding that position. So the hands are going to be just behind it. We're coming up into that position again, so knees into the armpits. Take the forehead forwards onto the block and then maybe lift one and then maybe lifting the other foot. Really pressing into the hands and then releasing. Again, just playing there. Again, moving forwards, maybe lifting that one foot, maybe lifting
that other foot.
Drill. Next drill is placing the block underneath the toes. So again, whichever height is good for you, just make sure it doesn't flip and it doesn't fall. So coming onto the hands, and this time placing the feet onto the block. So finding the knees into the backs of the armpits, maybe lifting up here, then maybe try taking both up together. Again, lifting one, lifting two, lifting both, and down. Again, you can take different heights on that block just to elevate those feet slightly higher. If you're still not ready to transition in to full crow, then we can do a slightly modified variation. So instead of taking the knees in towards the armpits, we can take the knees to the outside of the triceps and really squeeze them in. So again, the same hand position, so hands to shoulder width, really gripping with those fingertips. Take the weight forwards and just lifting one and then the other. So really pressing those knees into those triceps, finding that bind, and then coming down. So that's just a slightly easier variation if you're not quite ready to take those knees in towards those armpits. And then when you've worked through all of those drills, you're really confident, it's time to try and take that first crow pose. So again, if you want those cushions, those pillows underneath your face in case you fall, and the likelihood is that you will fall to start with, that is absolutely fine. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust that you can do this, that you can fly. So really grounding into those hands again, making that tent, gripping as we come up and place those knees into those armpits. This is where we really engage the core, so really scooping that navel up in towards the spine. So maybe starting off taking one and then two. Really pressing, breathing here and then down. And then when you get confident in your crow pose, starting to straighten out the arms. So coming up in towards your crane pose. So just have fun with this pose. This pose is meant to be fun. It doesn't matter how many times you fall out. It doesn't matter how many times you make a mistake or have to start again or go back to the beginning. This is just fun. So just bringing the heart rate back down. So just closing the eyes off here. Placing the hands onto the knees, just taking a couple of breaths, bringing the heart rate back down, and then bring the hands together at heart center, press the palms in together. Just thank yourself for practicing with no ego and no judgment. It doesn't matter what the outcome was of that practice. All it matters is that you enjoyed yourself, you smiled, and that you felt great. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. Namaste. Thank you.